What's going on, buddy? This is a super awesome episode.
Yeah, man. Season premiere. Season 2 premiere.
Season 2 premiere of Film Fights with Friends podcast.
Yeah.
We're so glad everybody could join us. I am one of your hosts, Paul Varacchi.
And I'm Steve Koepfer. And, you know, I think we need to say in the beginning, Paul, like, this is like something like, this isn't like what we are. Like, we are an action filmmaking podcast or something.
Oh, yeah. I guess,
you know, like
a little description
thing
would help.
A little description.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, action. We'll work on it this season. We'll figure out a good one.
It out.
We'll see what
nice
flows.
Nice little plug when we introduce ourselves.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, not a bad idea.
Dude, but can you believe season 2?
I can't. And season 1 was 26 episodes. And what was great is we basically are like a year to the day almost of when we started season 1, which is.
Yes.
I would like
today.
I guess we're pretty much on schedule.
Today, the day that we're recording this is 1 year to the day that we dropped our pilot episode.
So talk about keeping a schedule.
Yeah, seriously. Consistency.
Right?
Yeah, there's no break between seasons.
No. Well, at least not to you guys.
For us, there was a nice break.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So, dude, who's on the show today?
We have Riley Stearns, the writer and director of The Art of Self-Defense.
Yeah, man.
I almost wanted to say Foot Fist Way.
I know.
Because we were talking about both
yeah.
throughout this podcast. This was such a great interview.
Yeah, man.
I was so happy Riley came on. And
yep.
I mean, the three of us kind of all went down a little bit of a nerdy rabbit hole. This was great.
Well, because he's a BJJ black belt and teacher. He
Mm-hmm.
regularly teaches jiu-jitsu. So we have that in common. I mean, it was great. We talked a little bit about it. How many people in this industry are grapplers?
Yeah. And black belts.
Yeah. I think Riley's our third black belt on the show, right?
We've had Josh, Preston.
Preston's a purple belt. But Hugh Fitzgerald. Black belt.
Duh.
Yep. And Riley Stearns. And yeah, man, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's pretty cool. So we kind of do go into a bit of a dive into the martial art training filmmaker connections and just that whole sort of overlap, the little Venn diagram of where's the overlap of those, you know?
Right. So before we get into that, what have you been doing, man?
What have I been doing? Well, it's been like 5 months or whatever since we last recorded, but I've been doing some student film stuff and I worked on a new show for Netflix. I mean, it's been a little bit because, you know, it's quiet, but
what show? Can you say?
It's called The Beast in Me.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. So I don't know when it's coming out, but it's looks like to be a pretty good show. We'll talk about that more when it does come out.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, there's, you know, it's the same old thing, teaching, training, you know, doing our thing.
Life is good.
Yeah, life is good, man. What about you?
You know, again, same old shit. A couple of new things have actually started. Rocco, we had him on as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was the UPM football production.
on American Sports Story, the Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
I wanted to say American Gladiator because that's what we called it, Gladiator, when we worked on the show.
Right.
Well, I can't tell you the joke; it's a little inappropriate.
Yes, I know the joke.
It's really funny. Anyways, so yeah.
Maybe we'll tell it to our Patreon subscribers.
Yeah, right. So basically, Rocco and I have started our own little collectible store. We've been going to cons, have our own table, so we've been working on that. And part of that game is we have fell into the deep black hole of Pokemon. And that's actually why I have these cards here, because these are 3 of the coolest freaking cards. I don't know anything about Pokemon, but all I know is that this artwork is some of the coolest artwork I've ever seen. And this is Charmander, Charizard, and Charmeleon. And all these 3 photos, they actually go together in like one tall piece. And like I said, I don't even know what a Pokemon is. I don't know what a Pikachu is.
Yo, in a few months, you'll know all of it.
Probably
I know you.
But okay, you're right. But these are just beautiful. I'm gonna bring them up to the camera just so you guys can see. And they're like holograms, and they got all kinds of cool colors. So hold on.
Yeah, he's now tripping over our set. They are really cool, dude. If you're not watching this on the YouTube, you're missing out. You're totally missing out. But yeah, man. So that's cool that you and Rocco are starting this new biz. How's it going?
I mean, it's a lot of fun. I got to start saying, I mean, all the fucking time. It's driving me crazy. Every time I watch a video, it drives me nuts.
I mean, I know. Dude. Yeah, we'll link your Instagram and stuff on the show notes. for the new
I mean,
business?
we're having a really good time. You know, I've been doing collectibles for years, so I'm getting just rid of a lot of stuff in my collection, and my wife is so relieved about this.
Yeah.
She's like, "Are you buying more inventory?" She's like, "Because you have so much."
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah.
"Sell what you have first."
Yeah.
But yeah, I would
Cool.
say that that's pretty much been my main focus. Got some mocap work, which was really nice. Got to get back in the studio.
Yeah.
It was a crouch walk day, so it sucked.
Yeah. So you were not walking for the next.
So
day.
I was not walking for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering what crouch walking is, it's literally what it sounds like. You get into a crouch and you walk, but you do it for 8 hours. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Speaking of physical training, though, our old student Hector Santana,
that's right,
who now lives in LA, started teaching out there. So anybody in LA looking to train with Hector, he is a longtime Sambo guy. He's an undefeated MMA and Muay Thai fighter. He used to wrestle. He was a club wrestler at Penn State. I think he wasn't on the official team, but he was a damn good wrestler. And I think he is now teaching at I think it's called the Tao of Jiu Jitsu. It's a jiu jitsu school in LA, and you can get private lessons or take the group classes. And Hector is an amazing coach. Amazing coach.
He used to teach the striking class here, and I used to take it.
Yeah.
Like and then I basically now teach the striking class, and when I know that for a fact, whenever I go through the basics, I teach the same exact basics that Hector taught.
Yeah, Hector's awesome. So if you're in LA looking for a place to train, look him up, man. He's great. He's great. We do on this season premiere have some really awesome YouTube comment, and it's a lot of comments. So we're not, we have been reading comments and reviews, but this is a long exchange. So we're not going to read the whole thing, but, on YouTube, Greg539.
Greg, dude, seriously, great catches. Like every single one of them have nothing, like you're on point.
This was about our Tale of Black Light and Ice episode where we talked about running scared
with Paul Walker.
Yeah. And he pointed out a couple of factual errors that we made
while we were talking about the movie. And this was just in our clip. Who knows what we fucked up in the entire hour-long episode. But I would also like to say that this movie is so fucking manic. That's probably what happened.
Yeah. But we were really impressed by Greg because one, we like the engagement. We love having conversations with folks, but he was actually pointing out where we fucked up, which is cool.
It was like he knew this movie inside and out.
Yeah, totally. This must be a movie that he's really, really a big fan of. So, hey, Greg, if you're listening to this, dude, I did post on the YouTube for you to email us your mailing address.
Yeah, we like in a nice way. We're not going to send you a bag of shit or anything, but we definitely have a couple of cool things that we
want to send you some prizes.
That just for your engagement and for shouting out to us, just to for us to say thank you, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, totally. So thank you, Greg, and that's cool, man. Yeah, Greg.
Right? Do you want to read it?
It's long. It's a lot of stuff.
It's true.
But I will point out that he did point out. Remember how we talked about how revolvers don't leave shell casings, and that they found that it was wrong that they found a shell casing.
Right. He pointed out it was the slug. It was the slug that they were looking for.
He basically in a nice way. In a nice way, he was like, "You dumbasses got it wrong."
And then we're totally like, "We are fucking dumbasses. We should know better than that."
Yeah, totally. So thank you, Greg. It was great that you reached out and commented, man.
Appreciate it.
Cool. So, dude, email us your mailing address or where you would like us to send you. We got a cool gift for you.
Again, not a bag of shit.
No, at least not the first one. Totally though. Yeah, we want to send you something. So thanks, dude. We've got coming up the Art of Movie Making Film Festival
coming up in October. Rolling around the corner.
Yep. So we have the Film Freeway link. If anybody out there wants to submit their movie or scene to this festival, it's great. They celebrate all the crafts, the VFX, visual effects,
props.
And they have a best stunt performance category, the winner of which will be invited to be on this show
podcast.
So definitely check them out.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. What else? I don't have much else to say, man. I just want to get to this interview.
I do too. I'm very, very excited to have. I'm in almost I hope I don't fanboy freak out. because I don't know. Like,
well, the movie's so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it is really good. We didn't even ask him how Jesse Eisenberg got connected to this.
You know what? I thought about it halfway through. I'm just going to say we didn't. No, you know what? You're going to have to hear the episode.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell you a fucking thing. You're going to have to listen to the episode.
Everybody's going to have to listen.
And then you can in the comments maybe you can figure out what I was just about to say.
Okay, we'll see, man. So listen, if you're on wherever you listen to us, watch us, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a comment, give us a review, show us some love,
follows, thumbs up, all the good things.
If you want advanced access to this and all our episodes, you can support us on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you'll get tickets to our live shows, and you'll get swag, and you'll get a whole bunch of other cool perks, giveaways that we.
Oh, wait a second! You have got.
What?
You're a fucking liar.
What?
You have got more going on than you said.
What do I have going on?
Because there's some pretty decent stuff in the safety world that's going on right now. It's a pretty big issue. You've been working pretty fucking hard.
Well, I did. I'll share this.
Yeah.
I did enroll in school. I did go back. I am starting to go back to school.
There you go.
Yeah. So I am going to school remotely
mm-hmm.
because I'm not going to move to California, but University of California, San Diego in their event safety program.
Nice.
So I will be a student again.
Very cool.
Yeah. But enough about that. I don't want to, you know what they say when you have nothing to do, go back to school.
What?
Do they say that? I feel like they say that. Like, it's like when you're not working.
Maybe because I was like, if you have nothing to do, smoke pot. That's why I never went back to school.
Ah, there you go. That'll do it. But yeah, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you're into getting some early access to this and just being part of our community,
mm-hmm.
think about supporting us on Patreon. We would love it if you did. And we'd love to meet you at our next live show, which hopefully we can announce shortly.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at August.
Final details
coming soon.
This could be pretty big for us.
It's another movie screening.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to be at that movie screening in August, support us on Patreon.
Please do.
Cool. All right. Let's get
this interview going.
Stop rambling.
Shut up.
And get on to Riley Stearns.
Here we go, guys.
Yo, thank you so much, Riley, for joining us, man.
It is an absolute honor to have you on the show.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, when Preston suggested you, because he knew you, and for those listening, we're talking about Preston Thomas, who was on a few episodes back. We were super excited because we're both a big fan of Art of Self-Defense.
It's such a great movie.
Oh, thanks.
But I went and watched your other two movies, actually, just to get ready for this.
I saw one, and
which one did you watch? Faults?
When she flipped him at the end.
Yeah, Faults. Yeah, and Duel. I watched all of them, and there's some common threads I want to talk about, but for sure, man. So we're going to start. We usually like to start by reading a bit, so I'm just going to read. We're going to be talking about that big fight between Anna and Thomas, the main fight in the middle. It's sort of the most technical fight of the movie, I would say, right?
And more brutal too than the others. It kind of like there's a shift in terms of tone as well at that point.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
When I watched it, it made me think of. I was telling Steve this before. It made me think of the scene when Edward Norton was beating the shit out of Jared Leto in Fight Club.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people compare it to Fight Club, but at the time that I wrote this, I had only seen Fight Club one time, and it was back when I was in like middle school or early high school. So it wasn't like present there, but I think maybe subconsciously there were
right.
threads potentially.
I kind of mean more as in the way the scene made me feel.
Oh, cool.
It made me feel the same. Like I was just like, well,
yeah.
Afterwards,
I mean, I joke, and I say this is like the dark version of Foot Fist Way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally could see that.
But anyway, I'm going to read. We're going to start with how you wrote. This is great because you directed and wrote it. So we're going to start with how you wrote this fight, and we'll skip the whole part leading up to it and just get here. Casey and his partner realize that the other students have stopped sparring. They're circling up around two students. Casey joins the circle to see Anna and Thomas engaged in battle. They're full on trying to kill each other. Anna is picking him apart, hit by hit, technical and precise. but he keeps coming forward like a bull. Anna lands a crushing leg kick that folds his knee inwards. He collapses instantly. The second he hits the ground, Anna mounts him. She proceeds to pummel his face with her fists, then her elbows, the bridge of his nose flattened to the point this just brought up a memory for me, actually, but flattened to a point where it's level with his face. He's covered in blood. Thomas is unconscious now, but Anna doesn't stop, and no one stops her. Casey takes a step forward, but Kenneth puts his arm out to hold him back. He shakes his head. No, Casey doesn't want to watch, but he can't seem to look away either. There's beauty in how Anna's destroying the black belt. She finally relents, staying there on his chest for a moment, then stands and stomps down on his face with her foot, just like dirt bike passenger did to Casey. Thomas is still breathing. He may as well be dead. His lungs are drowning in his own blood. He's unconscious. His unconscious snores are stomach turning. Anna looks at Sensei. Sensei says, "You're done for the night." Anna says, "So is he." She leaves the mat. Sensei nods to a few of the students who tend to Thomas. Casey is numb. And we just watched the fight before we got on with you. We just watched it again.
I hadn't read that even leading up to this, so it's funny to hear it back like all these years later. I wrote that back 10 years ago now.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts? What are your immediate thoughts hearing somebody else read it to you?
It's interesting. Like there's ways that I would write something maybe a little differently now, but for the most part, that gets across the brutality that I think I wanted.
Yeah.
Up until that point, especially on the page, a lot of people just saw it as a slapstick comedy. And so I was meeting with people who were like, it gets too dark. Like we don't know how, like, this doesn't make karate look cool. And I had that said several times by some producers. And I was like, I'm not trying to make karate look cool. Like this movie it's a stylized sort of interpretation. But as you're reading it, I completely forgot there was this video, and I have it on a hard drive somewhere, of this dojo in a small town, like VHS quality tape of this guy coming in and saying he was a kung fu master, and the karate instructor let one of his students fight this guy, and they beat him unconscious. And I remember thinking, do you know which one I'm talking about?
I know exactly. I know exactly. Room. It was near Quantico, Virginia. I know the exact video because I was an investigator on Bullshido, and we were trying to investigate whether that guy was actually killed or not. Right.
Yeah. Because, I heard that he wasn't, that somebody was able to say that he was a local homeless person, and that they did see him again, but he looked dead, and the snores, like I remember the snores and the way that he's drugged out of the room. He says like, get him out of here, get him out of here. It's kind of why we shot the scene in the movie that way. So I completely forgot about that all these years later.
Total sense. And I'm going to try and find that old Bushido investigation and put it in the show notes, a link in the show notes, because that was really scary. I remember it was horrible. The main instructor was like a Marine Corps guy. There's a lot of Marine Corps guys trained there because and this is not to say that the Marine Corps guys are assholes or anything, but it was near the Quantico base. So a lot of guys were training off base there. And I heard the same thing. I think that it was like a homeless dude who just walked in thinking he was, some master or something. And they just used him for target practice. Basically. It was
horrible.
They stomped his head. It was disgusting.
Yeah, I don't recommend people seek that video out necessarily, but it directly influenced the brutality of that scene in a way that I'm glad that the movie feels the way that it does, but I hate that it happened to a person in real life, and probably has happened to countless other people over the years that weren't videotaped like that.
Yeah. I watched a video yesterday, ironically, about dojo storming. There was somebody doing a comment.
I watch those all the time.
But it was not a Dojo Storm video. It was a commentary by a coach on the topic of dojo storming.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw that, but I didn't watch the video yet.
And basically saying it's like, what we all think, like there's this sort of egotistical side of ourselves that wants to just do the dojo, to beat up the dojo stormer, even though we know it's an easy fight, let's say, like the case we're talking about.
Right.
But in reality, like, there's nothing that comes from it on any level.
No.
And it's just a ridiculous concept, like to green light somebody or whatever. I mean, a little bit of humbled pie is okay, but
So I had when I was teaching Krav Maga at the JCC, I had someone come in, and I could tell he was very ego oriented. And I had a girl in my class who was training. She met me as a ballerina, and now she's a state trooper in Colorado. This girl trained every single day. Her name's Rachel. And I was literally like, okay, I'm going to have her do this warm up with this guy that came in the gym. And I'm like, Rachel, I was like, block for real. Make sure you snap your blocks. I was like, don't hit him hard, but when he goes to hit you, block hard.
Right.
So he hurts himself. And by the end of 3 2-minute rounds, the guy's hands were like, he couldn't really use them because he kept hitting her so hard, and she kept just blocking him hard.
Yeah.
Right. And then the guy went to the bathroom and he never came back.
Yeah.
But so this was sort of an inspirational incident that you were aware of when you were writing this. And what was the motivation, I guess, because you were bringing up, for example, a female student? Like, was it always in your mind going to be a female student that was being sort of underappreciated there? Or
yeah, I mean, the film itself is like, before I even knew what the term meant, it hadn't really kind of become part of the lexicon at this point that I was writing it, but toxic masculinity sort of talked about throughout. But the way that I wrote it was feeling more fears about my own inadequacies as a man, or was I masculine enough, and all of that. So like, I guess younger me, very literal interpretation of it is to have the female student be passed over and kind of look at that whole dynamic, but from a darker and more comedic sort of space, stylized just in general, exaggerated. But yeah, Anna was always the brown belt who was passed over. The original actor who was going to play, I guess that was Thomas, who ended up doing the fight with her, was going to be David Zellner, who's a director. And he's the blue belt who gets his arm broken in the film. And at a certain point, we switched David to the blue belt character, and we were able to use Steve Terada, who's a karate expert, mainly a tricking karate expert, but he's also a black belt, a legit black belt as well in karate. And having him be a stunt performer who actually knows karate, it just elevated what we could do with that fight immensely. So my stunt coordinator, Mindy Kelly, she originally was trying to design it for 2 non-fighters. And once she got to use her friend Steve, everything kind of changed. And we just went bigger and bigger with it. And before I forget, too, because I got to give credit to her, Imogen Poots, who plays Anna in the film, she's the reason why when she takes Thomas's back, she starts back healing him in the balls.
In the groin,
So we were testing. We were like, she was learning the fight, and she goes, "Could I kick him in the balls?" And I was like, "Yeah, like let's go for it." Like really. So it made it even worse than it would have already been, which is very funny to me. But I can't thank the performers enough for like throwing themselves into it the way they did. And I've got some fun stories about like shooting it and kind of realization of how good Imogen was that initially I wasn't kind of anticipating, but yeah, it was a fun day on set.
Yeah. Could you, and we'll drop this in the video podcast, but you sent us some of the rehearsal videos, and she was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the time we got to set, I guess I'll kind of go into one of them it was really cool because my DP and I were setting up the shots, and we were about to go. And I was like, let's probably use our stunt actor first, our stunt performer first, because we're going to get behind. And when we're behind, we don't have to show her face. We'll get probably better cells and all this stuff. And I saw Imogen kind of go, okay, like fine. And we did it with our stunt performer a couple of times. We're like, oh, that was really good. Like, okay, let's throw Imogen in, and threw her in. And immediately we were like, every hit was selling way better. Not to knock our stunt performer. It's just like Imogen went for it. Mm-hmm. And we did 2 takes from this one angle. And I was just like, I think that was better than what we had just done. And then so we kept her on and we did all the stuff that every single bit of the performance in the movie is Imogen, except for when she enters kind of that Berimbolo section and she takes the back of Steve's character. But literally every other shot of that is Imogen. But she also had a stunt performer to work with too, which is great.
Sure. Now that you mentioned the take the back part, when Steve and I were talking before about how we looked at the scene, and I think I had a small influence of wondering if part of the brutality was kind of revenge for what happened to Casey. When you shot it, there was the back take. And then she beat the shit out of him and got up.
Yeah.
And in the script, there was the comparison of the kickstart.
The kick, yeah.
So I think that when I read that, it emphasized more in the fact that there was maybe she has a little bit of a crush on Casey, is so messed up she has no idea how to show it, and this was kind of it.
Yeah, I never thought about them in terms of like an attraction or a relationship. I wanted that to feel more like if the audience wanted to think about that, they could. But for her and Casey, it was all about karate. I didn't want to have like a false romance in there.
Sure. Right.
But I think that there was a sense of respect. And like you said, maybe a bit of revenge on behalf of Casey and all the students who have had to go through this. But yeah, I think once we saw the Berimbolo option, because there's several versions Mindy sent me, she showed the back take with the Berimbolo, and I was like, the Berimbolo is the one. Like, we have a purple belt stunt performer who is killing that, so let's use that.
Nikki Stanley?
Exactly, yeah. So Nikki was a purple belt under Eddie Bravo at the time, and just had a really good Berimbolo that she ripped out, and I was like, yep, we're using that. So we took the back that way. We got in our choke via that. And then I think at some point during the coordination, I was just like, the kick is over. Like we're just going to land elbows. It's going to all be elbows. And then even then we did way more on set than ended up in the film. A lot of the fight scenes and the brutality was a conversation with their distributor before I locked picture. So I was like, if I only do one, there's a scene where a character gets hit or thrown into a fire hydrant a couple of times in the movie. I shot 3 of those, and then Bleecker Street basically was like, we need less of everything. So I said, if I only do 1 of the fire hydrant, can I do 2 more of the elbows to the face for Anna? And it was like a barter system sort of thing of like compromising on how brutal the film could be. But at the end of the day, I think that the choices that we landed on were the right amount. And I think it goes just into the point that it's maybe too much, but not fully to the point of ridiculousness.
Yeah, no, it felt legit to me. I mean, and for the listeners, we're linking the fight in the show notes also, so you'll be able to hit pause if you haven't already and watch the fight, so you know what we're talking about. But yeah, it's just so good. It's so good.
I also like the fact that it wasn't a scene where you're like, you're gonna pick the biggest guy in the gym.
Yeah,
so the fight was actually quite believable.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't seem like a guy that when he hit a girl would just knock her out cold with his sheer weight and size.
He does his like weird jumpy.
He does like a
kick.
like the 540 kick and lands, and then she sweeps his leg right.
She's just like
while he's adjusting, which is great.
Exactly. And I think a big part of that scene, that character in general, but the scene lends itself to it too, is that I thought about her being the smallest person in the gym most likely, and how her karate would be different from the others. And that's why I was able to, or that's why I put jiu-jitsu into her game. Figured if she had kind of a balance of grappling and standing, it would be more realistic to her, and that she was probably doing this on her own. And the gym touts one of the rules is if it works, use it. And so she's using what is right for her body. And so, yeah, it was a fun way of introducing jiu-jitsu. And I have to mention too, I think I've already told you, Steve, but like, I was a white belt when You're Rolled Up came out on Budo videos back in the day.
With Budo Jake,
with Budo Jake.
Shout out
to
Budo Jake, yeah.
So I was introduced to like what Sambo and in some ways leg locks. I mean, leg locks were in the jiu-jitsu scene at that time, and the Danaher Death Squad was kind of up on the come up. But yours was one of the first times I saw people like showing leg locks. Mm-hmm. And so even just the line, there's a line in the film where, and I don't know that you guys do heel hooks, but just I have Sensei say, even a heel hook from Russian Sambo or something like that. And that's directly because of your video, which is a funny little full circle.
And also, the sensei's teacher is wearing some funky kind of Sambo Kurtka jacket, right? It had the cuffs, the shoulder cuffs. I paused it and I said to my wife, "Look, he's wearing a Sambo jacket."
And I think I forget because the guy who's in the photo, who's his grandmaster, is this the guy who makes the weapon, or like he made the samurai sword for us with the rainbow belt on it.
Oh, cool.
And his name is Dragon. He's been around for years. He worked on Star Trek and like every big movie.
We know him. We met him when we hung out with Sean Ballantyne at the park.
Yeah.
And he came out to do weapons work with us. Yeah, we met
Dragon's
him.
legit. Dragon's told us about how he used to have night fights to First Blood and things. Like he would go down the rabbit hole of stories, but we put Dragon in there and he basically said, "This is what I would want if like I'm combining all martial arts. This is what my outfit would look like." But I also didn't realize that the dojo that we shot his photo at back in LA while we were out in Louisville shooting the film, a photographer friend of mine went and did it, was an Aikido studio. So he's sitting in front of an Aikido grandmaster that I was unfamiliar with. So that doesn't fully line up with the trajectory or the lineage, but everything else was like, if he's combining things and then passing it down to his students, what would he wear? What would he, teach? All of that. So,
that makes me think of a question because you mentioned that the stunt coordinator sent you Mindy, right? Her name is Mindy Kelly.
Mindy
right?
Kelly.
She sent you some options for fights, and like I guess she sent you some videos or whatever. How much of a role did you play in the choreography and stuff, being a jiu-jitsu guy? I mean, I know this is a while ago and you're way more experienced now, but I'm curious because I just coordinated on a film with a director who is also a lifelong wrestler, a purple belt over at Marcelo's over here. And we did the choreography together here in the gym. Yeah. And then it was just such a great experience for me to be able to actually have the director working with me for the fight choreography and then have the director in the previs, which was pretty amazing too. Yeah. But I'm curious how much at that stage of your career, martial arts career, did you put into what the fight was going to be, or did you let the coordinator take the lead, or what was that relationship like?
Yeah. So for people who don't know, I am a black belt under Sean Williams now in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. But back when I wrote this in 2015, I had just gotten my blue belt at Gracie Baja in Glendale. And my fight experience was extremely limited. It was pretty much just what self-defense techniques we were doing at the gym. I think I was starting to understand a little bit more, but I was still pretty rudimentary in my understanding of how fights worked. So I deferred a ton to Mindy back then. And for the better, obviously. She's just got so much more experience in terms of fight, especially she calls it movie foo, but like her movie foo understanding is just super, super high. So I deferred to her, but there were moments where I'd be like, if we could do like one more strike here before we go into this. And I think even just the way that we described the leg kick because instead of the leg kick buckling him, the leg kick now leads to him dropping to the mat, which leads to the berimbolo. So she took what the script was giving and then just added her embellishments. And she gave me a version that was very literal to the script and a version that ended up in the movie, which is more like artistically interpreted. And so, yeah, again, at the end of the day, I think that I had a good understanding of what I wanted it to look like, but I had to fully trust Mindy to create it. Now it would be very different.
Yeah, and how did you get the location? Was that was the dojo location? That was somebody's real dojo, right?
No, we built that thing from scratch, basically. So that's a funny story. I don't think I've ever talked about this in an interview. So for people who have ever tried to shoot in an academy, I know Kit Dale jiu-jitsu guy here, made a pilot made a film called White Belt that he's in editing on now. And he was banging his head against the wall trying to find a dojo that would let him shoot, because you're taking away students' money and time. So you're going to have to shoot it after hours. Then you're kind of pigeonholed in terms of lighting and all this stuff. So there's so many things that go into using a working dojo. We looked around a little bit in Louisville, but very, very quickly realized we were going to have to find a location to kind of build out. I didn't love my location scout, but I love my location manager. And so my DP and I just ended up driving around Louisville in my rental car and looking in windows of places that seemed abandoned. We found that space and thought that it was going to be a good spot to shoot the vet scene in the movie because of this front entrance that we could kind of see. Once we got inside of it via a location manager and she kind of like showed us around, we realized that that was going to be a potential for the dojo. So we knocked down some walls. The pole that's in the middle of the dojo is load bearing. That's why that didn't go anywhere. That's fully just in and it kind of gives it a quirk, which I really like. Sure. But the idea behind the dojo was that it, and this is sort of a spoiler for people. So I'll just preface that, was that dojos kind of can be multi-purpose. Like over the years, they've started as one thing, turned into this thing, and now they're a space for combat sports. And so some of the quirks of the building are still there. At one point in the life of this academy, it was a funeral home, and kind of my idea of what this space is. And it offered kind of like, as we went further back in that building in Louisville, it offered, okay, there's the office for Sensei. There's a really great spot for the changing rooms. Ooh, there's a back changing room that's completely separate. That could be the women's changing room. Oh, there's this like weird funeral home area. And then there was the garage in the very back for all the motorcycle stuff. So it's kind of like, it had everything. I think they just recently demolished it finally, but it had the karate sign up. For years after we shot there, I would get crew members sending me a little photo of it being like, it's still there. But yeah, no longer, awesome. I don't think. Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. You had something. I interrupted you, I think.
Oh, no, that's okay. So I was just going to say the common theme, right? I've noticed that, and I was just wondering if there's personal reason, but there's the Kool-Aid drinking. And you know, enjoying that punch and drinking the Kool-Aid and
the culty stuff.
Yeah. And so is there any personal thing that you have to kind of steer that way? Because and you write it very well.
I'll just
like
just
the cultiness of shut up, Steve. The cultiness of the way you write the martial arts and how they look and blindly look at their sensei. It's really, really good.
Just a part B to that before you answer. Like, because watching the movie in the beginning, you at first, and this is what I think is so brilliant about it, is like you're at points you're like, oh, the sensei's making that's some real logic there. Like he's really making some points, and then it goes beyond, it crosses a line, right? But it kind of like through the beginning of the movie, it goes back and forth. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe this guy's pretty good. Oh, no, maybe he's not. You're not sure, right? But to your thing, like all three movies, and this is what I was referring to, except your dog violence. I know there's dogs like killed and it's like where is this coming from? In Duel, when the dog gets shot through at the bus stop or whatever, I'm like, another dead dog. What's up?
I have reasonings behind it, but yeah, I'll let you finish. Yeah,
but all three of the movies kind of deal with this sort of groupthink corrupted teacher-student relationships, or like this sort of this theme in all of them. So like, just to follow up on yours, it's like it did seem like it was a common theme.
Yeah, it's a through line that I don't even think I fully grasped until self-defense, until I'd written that. I mean, innately with martial arts, there is this hierarchy that feels sort of culty, especially when you're at the places that make you bow to people, or if upper belts are rolling or fighting or sparring, and then a lower belt gets near them, it's the job of the lower belt to move. Like weird, like I'm very new school in that, and I talk about it all the time. I'm like, if you, just because you've been here longer, if you're in a position to move and the lower belts are in a position where they're in a bit of a scramble, just move. It's not that big of a deal. So I was seeing that even at blue belt, I was seeing that sort of hierarchical thing going on, and wearing a uniform and kind of like lining up and all of that stuff. Like I have respect for it, but I also find there's innate humor in that to me. Mm-hmm. And I made a movie called Faults before The Art of Self-Defense, which directly relates to cults. It's about a deprogramming. And I do think that there's just something fascinating about mind control, the way that we can kind of follow somebody. Even just the guys in that video that I'm going back, we talked about at the beginning, where their sensei clearly was a little demented in saying, just go beat up this dude. Mm-hmm. Some of those people probably are good people, but in that space, they're like, oh, he told me to do it. Like, I got to do it. It's my sensei, especially back then. I even made a short film back in 2013 that was at Sundance called The Cub. And even that has like a weird wolf indoctrination sort of story. So I think I've kind of moved on from that. I think with the next thing, it's going to be a little different than that. But there's something fun, like you said, even with Duel, about having this complicated student-teacher relationship. And I think it's just in me, I have always been fascinated by cults, but then training for the 12 years now that I've trained, it's hard for me not to kind of still go, isn't this weird that we all just come to this spot and do this thing together? And sometimes people don't like blindly follow and don't question their instructor. I think that there's something still to be explored there, and I hope other people take it on in their projects.
Yeah.
I mean, the final scene, like the final scene after he kills the instructor. If you haven't seen this movie yet, I don't care. You should. It's been years. Yeah. So spoilers, get over it. But I'm not going to say how, but it was so hysterical when the entire class didn't bat an eye when he was like, yeah, he just didn't teach you guys.
Dead body.
Like, they were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But
I like that. I like too that there's sometimes when you're writing something, kind of talking about the fight scene, but now this is separate from that.
Sure.
When you're writing something, you have this intent and you think of it a certain way. And then when you're filming it, you go, oh, I didn't even think about this is the better way to do it. Mm-hmm. In writing the movie, I always thought that there really was this technique that sensei, at the point I wrote the monologue about the Grandmaster having this one finger punch through the head thing that he would take out other people in the state with, who like would challenge him. I thought of it as that's real. Like he has this one finger punch thing. And then in getting to the end of the movie, and especially like once I got to when Casey had kind of like, he was going to assert himself and he's going to have this fight, I realized, oh no, he's just figured out that since that Grandmaster was taking people out into the woods and shooting them in the face. Like that's all it was. But then on the day, like little tweaks, like the way that Jesse's character, Casey, like makes eye contact with the Grandmaster portrait right before he like goes into this battle. It's kind of like a knowing, like, I know your secret and I'm going to use it too. Like that kind of stuff is fun to figure out in the moment and say, what's going to make a better movie than is written as it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And Casey, he kind of does turn, right? I mean, he kind of becomes like, kind of like Faults where the deprogrammer gets programmed, you know, like, like Casey kind of buys into it. A little bit. And
that was intentional too. I didn't want Casey to get out unscathed. Like I wanted him to have to do something, like he kind of stoops to Sensei's level to beat him. But in my mind, I'm like, sometimes it's okay to do that if it's for the right reason. So Casey definitely is repeating a cycle of violence, but I think his intent is there. So it's complicated enough. He's definitely not washing his hands of this anytime soon, but at the same time, it was important enough for him, especially to get revenge for his dog. So if we're talking about dog stuff, I do think that sometimes
that was your dog, wasn't it? Was that
no, that's a dog named Mocha who had we got in Louisville. Her owner brought her in. She's a pet psychic and said, you know what? Mocha thinks that she can do this. She thinks that she's got, and I was like, awesome. I trust this lady for some reason. So we're very glad. But
she was
I like, there are things where animals or kids die in movies and it's so manipulative. And I think there's something funny about that. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't seen a movie where a dog avenged another dog's death. So that was the intent with the art of self-defense. And then in Duel, I like that she makes the choice not to kill a dog and then accidentally does. I think I'm done with the dog stuff. I'm a very big dog person. I do love dogs, but I also think it's very funny that some people, if a dog dies, they're just like 1 star, hate it. Movie sucks. Everything about it was great until that point. Fuck this movie.
Right.
It's fun to play with people's
hated John Wick.
Oh yeah. There's people. There's like the website Does the Dog Die, and there are people who will look up a movie and if a dog dies, they're just like, I'm not watching it. And
oh my God, I had no idea.
It's just, there's
that's crazy.
Letterboxd reviews are great too. You'll have somebody be like, everything about this movie is perfect. Would be one of my favorite movies of all time. 1/2 star, a dog dies.
Wow.
Can you imagine like not liking Monty Python and the Holy Grail because the cat dies like 12 fucking times?
There are people.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
So I mean, even starting with faults, the cast was amazing. And then, just Lance Reddick. I love Lance Reddick. I rest in peace. But
yeah,
I knew Lance long before. Like, I didn't know him very well.
When you were doing the massage stuff, right?
Yeah, back in the day, before I even got into this
therapy.
business, I was working as a massage therapist, and he was actually one of my clients. So I knew him.
That's crazy.
This is like during when he was doing Oz, like way back. And then, then we reunited at the John Wick 3 premiere party, which was crazy, honestly.
Man.
But when I saw, he was so good in Fault.
He's so great.
Yeah.
Lance had a funny thing too, where he came in and played a character that's a little bit more on the side and a little bit less, at least on the page, a little bit less there than I would assume somebody like him would want to do. He definitely did it because he liked the movie, unless that part was super meaty. But he called me once and we were talking, and he asked, before we went into production on Faults, so this scene where I'm talking to Ansel, the Leland Orser character, it says that it only plays on Ansel. We're not going to play on my character at all. And I think it'd be nice to intercut between. So I've got more to do there, and not in an egotistical way. He just kind of, he just thought that would probably play better. And I explained to him why I wanted to be on Ansel, that it was going to be one shot of him in this motel. And I didn't want to cut away because I wanted to see all the intensity. I wanted to see the family in the background as he's trying to kind of do this thing and not let them know that it's happening. And I went through all the reasons, and Lance was quiet for a second. And then he goes, actually, that's a great idea. I think that we should do that. You're right. Let's just stay on him. And that's the kind of guy he was. He just wanted to make sure that the project could be as good as it could be. Yeah. A little bit before he passed, I saw him at the Saturn Awards in the bathroom, and I just won the award for Duel that year, and I had it sitting next to the sink, and I started washing my hands, and I was like, Lance, and it took him a second. He didn't fully recognize me, and then I said, Faults, and he was like, Riley. So we met out in the hallway and we talked for a little bit, and he said that it's still one of his favorite movies he was involved with. And that guy was a legend. Cool. Yeah.
The movie was great. Even Leland Orser, who was in, actually, right? He was in Art of Self-Defense. He was in the movie
He's in the movie
that Casey was watching.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. There were a couple of Zellner too, right? He was in Faults.
David
he was
Zellner,
the owner of the what was that?
The manager of the diner at the beginning at the hotel. Yeah, that was David. I flew David out for that, and he's such a great actor and such a comedic, has such good comedic timing. So yeah, I've used him a couple of times as well.
That's so cool. Jiu-jitsu. Let's take a little bit of a shift. We've met so many people, and I'm sure you have too, in this industry. Directors, I was telling you about the director I worked with on the movie that's coming out, and Josh, the guy who writes our friend Joshua Todd James, BJJ Black Belt, you,
Preston.
Preston. I mean, what do you think it is about grappling, jiu-jitsu that, or is it just like attracts like, or do you think that what we do attracts creative folks?
Yeah, I think that there is, man, I can answer for myself. I think that the creativity of jiu-jitsu is something that I love. I do feel like I have a weird game, and I feel like it matches my personality. And I like that it's a sport where that can work. There's some funky stuff. And I also think that a lot of us filmmakers or actors, like whether it's an age thing or it's actors being on camera, there's something great about being able to train at basically 100% and be relatively safe if you're doing it with partners that you trust. That said, one of my students yesterday fully broke his nose through no fault of his own or his partner. So obviously things like that can happen. But I think that if you're boxing every day, if you're doing Muay Thai sparring 100%, it's just like, it's going to be an impossibility for you to kind of keep that up and work safely, especially being an actor on camera. So for me, I just like that it's something that I can do that keeps me in shape, is super fun, meet a lot of people. I would probably not know as many people as I do if I didn't have that, because it gets me out of the house. But yeah, there's something like people talk about the neuroatypicalness of jiu-jitsu and grappling in general with a lot of the people who take it on or kind of like stay with it. And I think that a lot of that neuroatypical behavior is in filmmakers as well. So I think that it all kind of relates to each other. But yeah, I don't know if there's one like right answer to that. I think it's just like a bunch of little things, and like attracts like, as you said.
It's pretty crazy how often it comes up. Even just on set, you'll be talking with people and it's like, oh, I do jiu-jitsu, or I do this. Or
I think it's also because I feel like people would drift more towards combat sports if they weren't getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
So that's why jiu-jitsu is a great option, because you feel like you're still doing that and you're not getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
I think, especially when you go to a school that starts you standing and you get to learn takedowns and stuff like that. I think it's kind of takes out a huge aspect of fear, but at that same time, because you're not worried about getting punched in the face, you're so much more calm the entire class. There's really not so much to be
nervous about
until you're ready to put yourself in a situation of where you're nervous, as opposed to striking. It's pretty nerve-wracking.
Absolutely why when I compete, I hate when jiu-jitsu guys call their match a competition a fight.
Oh,
I'm like, dude, we are not fighting. We are competing. We're doing this. We're going to follow the guy on Instagram afterwards and be friends with them. Like it's no way a fight. So I think that there's a huge delineation between jiu-jitsu, grappling, and fighting. That said, I train with a lot of MMA fighters, and it's fun to be able to say, oh, if punches weren't involved, I'd do pretty well against this person. The second they start punching me in the face, I'm going to die like that. And I have no delusions there. As a white belt, also funny too, I feel like as I've trained, when I was a white belt, I was like, I kind of want to get in a fight, like secretly, just to see how this works. And the more you train, the more you're like, I don't want to get in a fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep me away. I'm going to run.
Right.
Was martial arts something always on your radar? I mean, growing up, or,
I trained, my dad did some artwork for a studio or a little academy in Austin, Texas, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, a Soryu karate school in Texas. And when he did that, they gave myself and him 6 months of lessons. And so I got to my yellow belt as a 4 or 5 year old. And then the free lessons stopped, and my family didn't have money especially at that age. So lessons stopped for me from that point on. And I think that it wasn't necessarily that martial arts were something that I was like looking for throughout my like teens and early 20s, but around the time that I started, I want to say maybe like when I was 22, 23, I started at 26, I started watching MMA a little kind of secretively. Like my ex-wife would walk into the room and I'd like change the channel really quick. because I didn't want her to think I was
like it was porn.
Like it was porn. Exactly. That's what I say. And I
was just watching porn, not fighting.
Yeah, exactly. But it was funny that I thought that she was going to think that I was like, why are you watching these people just like fight each other? And I think thinking of it less like a sport and more like it was brawls, that's why my brain told me that I shouldn't be watching this. Like, I'm a smart guy. Why am I watching people beat each other senseless? But the more I treated it like a sport in my head and saw what was actually happening, the more I actually wanted to start training. But going back to your point, I didn't want to get punched in the face. And so I found out that wrestling and like grappling thing on the ground was jiu-jitsu. And 3 years later, I finally walked through those doors and signed up for a class and been doing it ever since.
And was that in Austin? Because Austin is a pretty good hotbed for jiu-jitsu.
This was in LA. My first school was Glendale Gracie Baja in Glendale, obviously. And Robert Hill's the instructor there. I got my blue belt under him, but I spent 5 months in New York in 2016-ish. No, 2015. And I trained at Marcelo's Academy for those months. And getting to do more no-gi in addition to the gi kind of opened up my world. I was already really wanting to learn leg locks. Like, I learned my first heel hook from a guy who's now a black belt who trains here in LA, but he was at Marcelo's and he was a purple belt and he would crush me. But I saw him heel hook Bernardo Faria one day and I was like, you just heel hooked a world champ. Like, can you show me what a heel hook is? And so he gave me a little private on heel hooks, and I kind of went down the rabbit hole of legs for a long time. And, but when I came back to LA, I had to find a school that was more like that. And that's when I went to 5-Star Martial Arts, which is now Renzo Gracie Los Angeles, under Sean Williams. I'm at an academy called Breakdown Academy under with John Evans. I'm one of the instructors that teaches there. But yeah, I wanted more no-gi in my game. And yeah, that's kind of the long story trajectory of like how it all kind of came to be. But yeah, still train almost every day, and I'll compete here and there. And
yeah, I saw on your Instagram you said you were getting the competition bug again.
I am. Yeah. The last thing I did was a JJ World League, and I got boned on points. It was a bad decision. The other guy got awarded 2 points for a sweep that didn't actually exist. And, I kind of was just like, whatever. But, I did pretty well at an ADCC Open, a couple of years ago. And when I was like, oh, I'm going against black belts and doing okay. That's when one thing was kind of more like, oh man, it's only going to get harder from here. But also, yeah, you get a little bit of confidence and you go, well, yeah, I could get back into that. And I'm almost Masters 3 now, which is, because I'm 38. So maybe getting one more Masters 2 in, would be kind of fun. We'll see.
Get it in before the birthday.
Exactly.
How do you manage the training work balance? I mean, if you're in the middle of a movie, right, that's sucking up all your time. Do you make yourself make the time to train? Like, is it that, or I mean, I know it suffers for me when I'm involved in another project, and it's if I didn't own the place and have to be here all the time, it would be even that much more difficult, It's hard. Yeah. I just shot a TV show for Netflix, 3 episodes of the Vince Staples show, at the top of the year. So I was up in Vancouver, and there's some good spots to train in Vancouver. I mainly trained at, Ben Dyson's gym, Kazushi, grappling, did some of their open mats, but at least during prep, every Saturday and Sunday, I would go to an open mat. So whether it was Kazushi or whether it was 10th Planet, Vancouver, those in Coquitlam, always found some good roles and tried to just like at least 2 days a week, I can get in some training. But once we were going into production, it got hard. So I don't think during the actual shoot, I ended up going in more than like 1 or 2 times over the course of the 2 months that I was there. And you're not bringing some panel mats to set and saying, hey, on break, that's
man, I'm the kind of guy who would, if there was any time to actually do it. Yeah. And it, like you said, it's just one of those things where you know that it's not going to be a possibility. And you kind of, I did a BJJ Mental Models podcast about it once.
Oh yeah, I listened to it. It was good.
Oh,
it was a good
cool,
one.
Cool, thanks. Yeah. And Sean Williams, my instructor, kind of was what changed my mindset about this. But he said once that jiu-jitsu will always be there. Like if you need to take time away, it'll still be there. Mm-hmm. And I think that was just something I needed to hear, because when I was a white belt and I went away to make faults, I almost didn't come back. I was gone for 6 months once I started editing. And then I got nervous about going back. I thought I was going to lose all the technique, and I knew that my cardio was gone. But I had a brown belt there who called me one day and said, you were almost on your way to blue belt. Like, where'd you go? Like, we'd love to have you back. And having somebody say that was very important. Sure. Now as a black belt, like, and previous belts before that, I know that if I go away for a couple of months, even if I'm not training, like, it's not going to just be that my jiu-jitsu is completely gone. It takes a couple of weeks to kind of get your timing back and things, but you're still there. And so I just know that jiu-jitsu will still be there. And I kind of just accept that I'm going to get a little chubbier while I shoot, and I'm not going to feel as good mentally sometimes, because it's such an important mental thing for me to do too. But I'm glad that I have that perspective as it comes with age.
When I had Matilda, when Jamie and I had Matilda, like, at first I was just, whatever she needed, wasn't coming in training. She needed me I was like, yep, I got it done. No problem. Not realizing that, like, my mental state was not happy because I wasn't training, because I need it. There's something so important about that release for some people. And when that's the only way that they can get it. And I don't know what it is. It wasn't anything specific, but shit just builds up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like, to the point of where I was getting anxious. And like, when I told her how bad I needed to go to the gym, I was almost crying. Like, it was that much. Like, it's just it's crazy how much
I'm sure
that is a part of your life.
You've heard that term, like some people are like, oh, it's my therapy. And I don't think it's therapy, but I think it's my meditation. It's like my time for myself.
Yeah.
And I need that. Like, there's something that, and you guys know what this feels like, but for people who don't grapple or don't train, there's something beautiful about, like, if I don't focus on what's right in front of me, and if I think about other things that are happening in the world and in my life, then I'm going to get crushed. And I have to be present. And that's the only thing that does that for me in the world.
Yeah. No, it's true. You're singularly focused.
Especially as a teacher, we teach. I think I would say Steve and I probably teach more than we train. And part of the reason we have is because you can miss something and a student could get hurt, or a student could be doing something wrong and you couldn't catch it because you're thinking about something else, So it just totally keeps you focused.
Yeah. And to what you said, especially in beginners, white belts or new students, and they have to take a break, there is that fear of coming back. There's a complete fear to come back.
I know when I come back,
it can feel overwhelming. I mean, the first time I took a long break from training was when I broke my leg. For a lot of people, that is the first time to take a break, is after an injury. And it's like, I was in bed for 3 months, and then it was like not weight bearing for a whole bunch of other months, and then all this kind of stuff. And then, I ended up not being able to compete. I was supposed to compete at the British Sambo Championships, and I couldn't go because I was walking with a cane still and all this kind of stuff. And, when you finally get back to the mat, you're just so afraid, Yeah.
And it's not that. It's also being afraid, but then it's being afraid and discouraged, because once you walk onto that mat and you even stretch for the first time, you realize that you're back to basics.
Yeah.
You have to teach your knee how to move again. You have to learn how to do squats. You have to do insane amounts of physical therapy just to be able to sit on your heels. You know what I mean? Just common movements that you need to be able to do, that you now have to work through to even come close to the level that you left at. And I think that is so discouraging. It's like, dude, I was spinning heel kicks. I was kicking people in the head. I was doing this. And like now, and then add on top of that the paranoia of anything familiar to how you got hurt happening.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, that one's real. Like I've been very fortunate. I've been very fortunate that I've only had minor injuries. I think the worst was a couple of years ago. I popped a knee training with somebody who I didn't know at another school. And instead of coming up and going with him, I had him in a calf slicer position, and he fell back down on me, and it popped my knee. Yeah. And I've never had that reaction before. I've never had somebody go, oh, I'm just going to drop all my weight on you. And so anytime I'm in that position now, I actually taught that same technique yesterday. I talk about the dangers of if you do this, is why it's bad. And if we stay on our side, this is why it's safe. And anytime I'm in those positions, my brain for a split second thinks a little too much, more than it used to. But it's like you have to. You're trying to keep yourself safe. Yeah.
I'm curious, when just listening to you talk as a teacher, as a coach, like just how you approach it, do you see similarities between how you are as the director on set and the teacher on the mat?
Yeah, I get very excited on set. I'm a very optimistic, excitable person when things are going well. And particularly when I'm talking to actors, or talking to the DP, if something's working really well, I get like, oh man, yeah, like let's do more of that. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good at giving direction, but sometimes I talk my way. I'll come up to like Imogen Poots, for example, is the only person who's ever done an impersonation of me directing before. And it was very hard to listen to, but it was pretty accurate. I apparently talk a little bit before I know exactly how I want to articulate what I'm getting at. So I'll start talking and then she has to wait. And then eventually I get to the point and she's like, oh, you just want this. And I'm like, yeah. When I teach, I feel like I'm better. I'm just as excited, but I'm better at being more concise about and efficient about how I talk about a technique. But there are moments where I have to kind of go, let me think about that. Can I jump into this position and like, let's workshop it together? I feel like in general, when I'm doing things that I love, and I love jujitsu and I love filmmaking, I'm in a very happy place. And it's hard for me to get rattled in jujitsu. It's never teaching. It's almost always training with somebody who is being a little shit, who I don't know. I train with good people, but every once in a while you have that open mat that you go to and you're like, all right, 250-pound person who's all muscle and has wrestling background. Yeah, you're going to try to hurt me? Really? Like,
I used to be,
that's weird.
Dude, and you probably, I mean, this is a maturity thing for people who do this. It's like when I was younger and I would be out teaching seminars and stuff, I had this, like, kind of like you said before, I had this pride thing. Like, I got to roll with everyone. I got to show everybody what I can do. Now it's like, I'm 15 minutes into the seminar, I know exactly who I will and will not roll with at the end. You could see how they move, what kind of control they have. And it's like, just not that important to me, you know, to deal with everyone. Yeah.
And then especially when I was teaching at RGLA, and we had larger classes like that, and sometimes you'd have like 40 people on the mat at a noon class, one of my Friday classes, and you'd have visitors come in. I almost felt like I would pick the visitor first to roll with, like ask them if they want to roll, because I want to make sure that they're not going to be crazy for some of my other students. So like you almost take the bullet and you go, oh, this could be a bad move, but at least I'm not letting one of my white or blue belts get injured. So I'll have a good idea. And then on the off occasion that somebody is actually a spaz, then I go to my upper belts and say, hey, I need you to roll with this person next. I need you to roll and try to protect them and shield them from the people who you know, like that guy is just a hobbyist. Like he's not looking to go crazy. He has a bad back. Like I want those people to stay safe. So yeah, sometimes you throw yourself into it as a form of protection too.
That is so true. That is so true. I'm often the first person that the guest rolls with.
Exactly. And I'm pretty good at being chill, but yeah.
And it's not just because they might be a spaz. Sometimes it's because I know my students. I'm like, I don't trust my student with this guest right now.
I always spar. You know, Steve does. I do the striking classes. You know, and whenever I have a new guy come in, I always spar with him first.
Yeah.
Always.
I think it's common.
And the first thing I always say is, I'm like, dude, just calm down and relax. Like even all the time, I'm like, calm down, relax, just. No one's trying to kill you. You're not trying to kill anybody. That's not why we're here.
Yeah.
Just relax. I was like, you're not going to learn anything by freaking out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're freaking out and you're tense and you're, I'm like, you're not learning anything.
You'll have experienced people come in and as a visitor, they think that they need to prove something or show that they know something. And even I did Muay Thai for 6 months when I was training for Nogi Worlds in 2018. And I didn't get good at all, but like I would see some interactions where the instructor would be like, dude, relax. This is touch sparring. This isn't, we're not going for it. There's always that sort of danger, but I think that, you get good at, like you said, Steve, you get good at recognizing the signs, earlier before you even get on the mat and start training with them. There's
one funny, I don't know if I'm blowing Steve out of the water, but this is hilarious. I love it when Steve has a new student that's very stiff and they're in the sambo, they're in the jacket class. And when they grab the jacket, they can't stop jerking. Right.
Yeah.
And then Steve will grab their collar and it'll be like, stop jerking, and then he'll do it again and be like, look, stop jerking. And then he grabs their collar and he's like, stop doing yes. He's like, do you like it? And they're like, no. And he's like, don't do that to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. It's funny too, the courtesies that are a little different from sport to sport. I do stand up in the gi, but I'm not great. I don't have great judo, but I've got some basic things that work for me. But yeah, I didn't even think about the fact that that's probably just constantly a thing with people who are a little unfamiliar with the gi.
When new people come in and they grab the gi, and they don't know any better. They just think I gotta grab this, and I'm like. And then, when I grab you, do you feel any tension at all? It's like my arm's like rubber,
Yeah.
And they're like, no. I'm like, that's how you should feel. Just relax. It's
so funny.
It is funny. But so, anything coming up that you're working on that you can tell us a little bit about, or?
Yeah. So that Netflix show, Vince Staples show, season 2. I've got the first 3 episodes of that, and that'll be out in October. It's very different from some stuff that I've done in some ways, but the sense of humor, the darkly comedic sort of world that's a little hyper real. I can see why Vince picked me for those initial episodes. And so even if you haven't seen season 1, I think, even though that's a quick watch, season 2 can in a way live on its own. So in October, that's my first TV thing I've ever done as a director.
So Netflix, you said?
That'll be on Netflix in October, and I'll make sure to post about it and tell people when it's out.
We'll throw in the show notes.
Cool. That'd be great.
Yeah.
And Vince is a great showrunner, and he's going to make a really cool director someday too. It's just he's the lead and writer and showrunner of the series, and then I have a script that I'm trying to start writing soon. Another feature that does not have cult-like indoctrination or anything like it in it.
Dogs make it to the end.
Yeah, tons of dogs, and they all live.
There we go.
An island of dogs. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The humans die though, but yeah. I'm yeah, exactly. And then here and there, I read a script that I am really into that I didn't write, and I've got one right now that I'm like, oh, just tell me if I am going to go further on this, because I'd really love to do this one, but it's a good one, so I have a feeling a lot of people are after it. So yeah, just trying to be more open. The industry is so
it's crazy
weird
right now.
So weird. All of my friends are trying to decide if they even want to just stop, and it's sad.
It's very sad.
The fact that so much doesn't shoot in LA anymore, and the fact that, the economy right now, it's like, well, what's going to happen? Are we going to be able to shoot things? Are studios going to stop shutting down productions, or start shutting down productions that are kind of prepping? And a lot of uncertainty. So I'm just fortunate that I got to work at the beginning of the year, and hopefully I'll get to do something again this year too.
Yeah. Cool, man. You mentioned you're kind of hyper. How did you describe it? Hyper reality, or something? Yeah. Because there's a scene, there's in Duel, there's those hospital scenes where she gets the terminal prognosis, and then the scenes where you're in remission, it's totally fine. And I was watching it with my wife, and so for those who haven't seen it yet, it's basically there's no description of what's wrong with you or anything. It's just you've got this thing, you're gonna die. And she's just she just accepts it. Yeah. And at first it seems kind of bizarre. But then, having worked my old life, I worked in pediatric oncology for about 10 years. And it is so real. That is so real in a really bizarre way that people just take for granted what the doctor's telling them.
Yeah.
And don't question, even if it is full of medical jargon and this is what's going on and that's what's going on. But those scenes like distilled it down to its most basic thing. The doctor says I'm dying, so I must be dying.
I don't know if it was a TV. I think it's I don't know. My wife watches all that true crime shit.
Yeah.
And like there was one about this doctor who was literally misdiagnosing people with cancer on purpose and making them go through the treatment, and the treatment fucking killed them.
Mm.
Oh God. Yeah.
Fuck?
There's some crazy people out there. Yeah. I it's funny. You also mentioned the ever so slightly real, hyper real, whatever you want to say. But one of the terms that I heard a long time ago, that I don't hear a lot of people talk or say is like an inch off the ground. Like something that's just heightened. Like, so it's grounded just enough, but there's an inch of space between your feet and the ground. That's the world that I want to live in. That's like, not to compare everything to my jiu-jitsu, but like, I want my jiu-jitsu to be just weird enough, but still effective. I want my films to be just weird enough, but you can still see yourself in them. That's kind of the space that I want to live in.
That's why I felt like Art of Self-Defense was kind of like Foot Fist Way. I mean, obviously two different flavors, but Foot Fist Way was so close to reality that if anybody who's been in the commercial martial arts world, you could be like, this is so close to what it is like, and just past the line, just like an inch above the ground. And yours is the same thing. It's like, this is so close that you can see how this environment that we function in could turn bad.
Yeah.
It's very plausible. It's plausible,
It's plausible. Like, and then there's like a moment like Casey goes over and kicks the truck's tire and it explodes, and you're like, okay, we are in a different world where things can happen that wouldn't happen here. But I'm always like trying to straddle that line, do that little tightrope walk of tone. But it's fun to do. I like.
Where did the idea for Duel come from? The idea that the clone and the original human would have to fight to the death to see who could stick around. Like where did that come from?
I wrote a short film script called Niche, like around the time that I wrote The Cub, and a character ended up interacting with themselves at the end of the short. And so I was going to have one actor play both parts, and it was going to be tiny. It was like I go out over a weekend and do it. And, when at some point I realized that I probably wasn't going to make that one, but I still wanted to do something where a character interacted with themselves. And so started working on the idea for Duel after I wrote The Art of Self-Defense. And everything that I kind of came up with is like, in terms of the structure, is there in the final product. But in between writing Duel in between coming up with the idea for Duel, structuring it, and then writing it, I got divorced. And so a lot of the tone and the darkness of the film was influenced by my state of mind at the time. So in terms of like how I came up with the idea of why they would fight, I think it was just, that would be funny. Like, no real good answer there.
It's great. It's so great.
I mean, he told me the premise. That was the one I hadn't seen. But when he was telling me about it, it made me think of the Star Trek episodes that we like, when they have to fight themselves in the holodeck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of stuff's always fun. And it's like it's so hard to do. It's way harder than people realize, unless you have a camera that's completely stationary, but you're shooting everything twice at least. Yep. Then there's costume changes in between. So it's something I never want to have to do again. But I'm so glad that I got to have fun doing the thing where you, as a kid, like you watch and you're like, how'd they do that? Getting to use motion control rigs and all of that. So yeah.
That's awesome. Dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely,
guys. We had a great time.
Yeah. It's always fun to talk about movies, but getting to throw in martial arts at the same time, it's like, this is the best kind of podcast.
Dude, I wish I know it's a little mix, right? But I wish, because
you're nerd out on so many different levels.
Hopefully we'll be back to LA again. We were there like not last year, the year before, but I mean, you guys are right up the street from 87 North.
87 North,
right?
Yeah. The Breakdown Academy that I'm at right now a lot is on Santa Monica and Highland, basically. Yeah. So that's a pretty easy location, and I drive all over to train with people. Yeah. So anytime you guys are out.
Yeah, because we were walking right by Henzo Gracie, LA, from our hotel, walking over to 87 North. We walk by it like almost every day.
And there's a new school here in LA as of like a few months ago, Frogtown BJJ, that Paul Schreiner under Marcelo, or not under, but like one of Marcelo's main instructors at the New York facility, he started. And Frogtown's just like on a tear right now. They've got gi and no gi. Dominica is teaching their spider guard, like gi classes. And so LA's got some fun jiu-jitsu happening right now.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, of course.
Super fun. Thanks for having me.
Definitely.
Of course.
Film Fights with Friends is produced by Stephen Koepfer, Paul Varacchi, Press Record Studios, and Breakfall Studios. This episode was engineered by Matthew Kaplowitz. This show is powered by our supporters at Patreon and is a registered trademark of Film Fights with Friends, LLC. Original theme by Aru Luster.